everyone. This is Shadow Mario 41, and welcome to the finale of Let's Play Fire Emblem. In the last chapter, we did it! We accomplished everything we needed to do. Our quest is complete. Nergal's elite morph squadron, all wielding S-ranked weapons and other high-end weaponry, were struck down one by one before Eliwood managed to deliver the final blow to the Dark Druid himself and the Fire Dragon that he summoned afterwards with his dying breath. Not to say that there weren't sacrifices. Nils and Ninian had to go back to their world, never to be seen again, and Athos unfortunately lost his life in his sacrifice, which seemed unnecessary at the time, but albeit very sad, I know. So what happens next? What's left? Well, what's left is the epilogue. We're going to check in and see what happens in Fire 1 year later. But step back for a moment and think about all that we've been through to get to this point. We had to deal with bandits, we had to deal with treachery in the government, poisoning, an assassination attempt, tales of adventure and corruption and lusts for power. We've been through all of it in Fire Emblem, and finally, we are treated with this, a nobly dressed Eliwood in bright colors, triumphant music, and this just sets the tone of victory. It makes it all seem worth it. This is wonderful. Eliwood, yes, everything is finally resolved. He's going to succeed his father as Marcus Foray, and all is going to be fine and dandy in the world going forward, right? Well, not exactly, but he doesn't know if he's equal to the task, but of course, being the noble man that he is, he's going to do the best for all the people who live here, just like he did for me on the battlefield. He ended up being one of my best frontline units in the end, and unfortunately, I do have to go because I have a feeling that a little conflict might be brewing on the horizon in the near future, but yes, I have things to attend to. Just wanted to stop by and say hi, Eliwood, and need to check in. Thank you for supporting me in everything. Of course, Eliwood, and I love that you are acknowledged directly by the game. I like that they look at you. It's like, yes, I was there for all of it, and you get the acknowledgement. It's wonderful. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't, well, this world wouldn't be here, and that is very true. That's the thing about our quest. It has such a great magnitude to it that you really feel it was worth it. But not only that, Eliwood, see, now the feels are gonna set in. The feels, I miss you guys so much. It's a promise, my friend. Man, this game has an emotional impact, but not just from the story standpoint. From a personal standpoint, I'd say Let's Play Fire Emblem is a very big accomplishment for me. I first started this Let's Play back in November of 2013, and I'm now finishing it in September of 2016, which I know is a long time for Let's Plays, especially by Let's Play standards, which is supposed to be quick, but there were long breaks in between episodes, sometimes up to a year, but it was a big time of transformation for me. Much like this game has progressed from fighting bandits to saving the world, so too I feel like my life has. I've gone from, when I started this game, I was just entering graduate school, with dreams of becoming, into my professional career, and now I'm about to start the second year of it. I got the first year nerves out of the way. I'm sort of established where I am, and it's time to start the second year of my career, and I just feel like that transformation has occurred over the period of playing this game, so it has this high level of significance for me now, and it strikes on a very personal level that this project is coming to a close, because not only was it a ton of work to get this done, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, hundreds of hours were invested in Let's Play Fire Emblem between editing, rendering, recording, failed attempts and scrapped recordings and all that stuff. It's been a lot of work to get to this point. But not only that, it's been just this era of transformation, going from a student to a professional, and it's been a wild ride. Let me tell you. You can see all the chapters that we've had to go through, including the Distant Plains, which took 42 turns because we were stalling for a while. But man, getting through all of that in Fire Emblem, I'm actually getting emotional. I have to try to keep it together. Man, this is tough. Victory or death, 39 turns. Overall, that's 554 turns of Fire Emblem, and we get to see what happens to our characters afterwards, including, everybody. Marcus, of course, who better to start out with, the one that suggested we should stock up on supplies before heading to Valor. Of course, he's going to dedicate his life to training young squires of Foray. Lowen, the Golden Knight himself, fought in 257 battles. That's pretty crazy. He replaced Marcus as the most famed knight in all of Foray, as he should. He's worthy of that title. He did excellent. He was, I would put him on the front lines any day. I mean, he didn't make it to the final chapter because he can master everything, but he's actually good at everything, not great at anything. That's the best way to describe him. We needed specific units for the last chapter, but unfortunately Rebecca never really made her mark on her and Will, actually, were both pretty lackluster in this playthrough, so oh well. But she's still carefree, the wildflower, excuse me. Dorcas returning to take care of Natalie, of course. Remember, that's how he first got him. He wanted to fight for a better cause and for his wife. And Barter continued his quest from country to country. He was an axe fighter, just a pure adventurer. I used to be an adventurer like you, Barter, but I'm not going to finish that. Oswin, though, served as a vessel to Marcus Osea, of course. He continued his duties, serving by Hector's side, and I would not want to mess with him. He became a very formidable, though probably one of the most disappointing generals I've had in any playthrough of Fire Emblem, but still formidable. Like, that's how good Oswin is. Even when he's not as good as he can be, he's not at his full potential, he's still a beast. And yes, of course, Matthew mourning his beloved Leela, who passed away earlier in the game. That's what kind of set him off and set Hector on this big quest for revenge. Sarah, though, Sarah, the outspoken cleric, didn't fight at all, but she spent much time tending to her own affairs. She's been enjoying her free time. You know, loudmouth Sarah, of course. Guy, the mounted swordsman. Oh, man. Guy was a fierce swordsman. Definitely the best guy I've ever gotten in a Fire Emblem playthrough. Not the character I even thought would stand out, but he was called him the Saint of Swords, a worthy title for Guy. Again, Urk, another unit that kind of got overshadowed because there were just better magic units, but he ended up succeeding. He was asked to succeed Lord Pent, but refused, and devoted his life purely to study of magic, probably far away from Sarah, so they never had to mingle once again. But Priscilla, remember, Priscilla was like a princess. That's right. She was Etruria's count, she was in Etruria royalty. So she was, there, and it was a deserving member of that. She fought valiantly and even came back at the end of the game to perform healing duties, which was wonderful. Yes, Florina the Pegasus Knight, she returned to Ilia. Remained shy, but the shyness has made her strong within. Yeah, no kidding. She was one of my greatest units at the end. And speaking of units that were disappointing, I was talking about before with Oswin. Holy cow, Kent Insane, his partner. Man, they just didn't pan out at all. I thought that they would at least get a little better than what they did, but man, they just couldn't do anything. I've never had Kent Insane turn out to be so lackluster. And Lowen be the shining star of everything. Not what I expected at all. But hey, this playthrough is full of surprises. Will, unfortunately, he is still a Knight of Kaelin, which is still good, still performing his duties, but never really made his mark as an archer. I would have loved to use him. That would have been a really great sniper to use. And this may, in fact, be the the pinnacle of units that were pinnacle of surprises in Fire Emblem. Raven, usually a guaranteed roster spot for me, saw nothing in this playthrough because he continued to get terrible level ups in a time where I really, really needed good units with good stats. So he got sidelined, and I guess it was for the best, though, because everyone ended up, working out and beating the game. We beat the game with the troop we had, so it's hard to say that decision wasn't worth it. Lucius, of course, continuing his noble life, serving as a saint-like figure of sorts, and Canis, unfortunately, oh man, that's such a sad story. Canis has such a sad life story. It's very sad. A true academic, though. Dart, though, took a grave wound protecting Fargus in a skirmish. He vanished at sea, but rumors claim he might be in Foray. Haha, I wonder if we ever see Dart again. But Fiora, another unit we didn't use very much. Handy at the time that we got her, because we got her in a chapter where we needed units with high mobility. But beyond that, she didn't really serve very much purpose. Florina overshadowed her big time. But our thief for a while, the Hurricane himself, was Legault. After the battle, Legault traveled with Lance looking for Black Fang refugees. If you remember, the Black Fang themselves weren't really evil. That's the thing. They were just corrupted. They were actually sort of a, I don't want to say good, but just a mercenary guild type of thing. But they were totally corrupted by Nergal's influence, and that's what turned them into an evil force. But Nils and Ninian, the dragon kin, bid farewell to their land of birth. They returned to their new world. Meeting Eliwood warmed the hearts of these ice dragons with the hope that man and dragon could live in peace. That would be great for this world. Someone should try that again. as Knight of the Imperial Guard. Isadora! Oh my gosh, I wouldn't want to have Isadora guarding anything. She served as a guard to Lady... Why? Who would want her there? Anyway, whatever. She did her part when she had to in Chapter 29X, where she just had to move around a lot. Heath was another unit that I've used in the past. Unfortunately, didn't pan out for much in this playthrough, even though I really did try to push him at times, and he did have a little bit of niche usage, but for the most part, not too significant. Wrath, however, very significant. One of my best and most useful units at the end. High mobility combined with the fact that foes are just so good as you get later in the game made him an absolute force to be reckoned with. A unit that could have been used more than he actually was, Hawkeye, returning to Nevada and living peacefully in Arcadia with his daughter, whom he trains to be the guardian of the desert, may come in a future game. Coming to stores near you. I could have used him, actually would have been a good axe fighter. Geitz resumed his aimless wandering. He still searches for a land he can finally call his own. I love that. They're like, what does Geitz do? Well, nothing, of course. Just wanders around, just like he did before. That's how we find him. I know he found him before. When Athos died, Pent took over his research. To focus on his studies, Pent resigned as the Mage General of Etruria, and this action set the palace in an uproar, but Pent and Louise endured. So, Pent devoted his life to succeeding Athos after his noble sacrifice. Harkin, another good sword user that is definitely viable going forward, but he never really took off. We really recruited him just for his weapon, the Brave Sword, which came through in the end. I'm glad that we got that weapon. Nino, an absolute monster if you train her. It's just at the time, I did not have the resources to baby yet another unit along the way, so really not not the time to recruit Nino. But if you do take the time, like if you play on normal mode, and really do take the time and energy to do it, then it's well worth it. The payout is big. Jafar, the Angel of Death, is vanished after his final battle. He still avoids the bounty hunters who seek out the famed angel. Yes, Jafar remains ever a mystery. Veda, though, is the worst villain in Fire Emblem history because she doesn't even stay a villain. She ends up becoming a hero. The worst bad guy leads Eliwood and friends right to their main hideout. Good to be done with her. And Renault, the burdened bishop who just seeks tranquility, so he's going to leave the battlefield. Well, no one knows what became of him, so it's as if he never existed. Maybe he finally found tranquility, or maybe he's dead. I don't really care one way or the other. Athos unfortunately died in a foreign land, the Dread Isle. Those who saw his face seemed that he had last found true peace. Yes, if you remember, Lynn remarked, it seems as if he is smiling. The cherry merchant, Merlinus, a cherry merchant. Maybe he sold cherries now. Who knows? He could be a fruit salesman, a vendor, a Shakespearean vendor. He's a fantastic personality. A crucial member to have, too. Make sure you don't skip out on Merlinus and get him as soon as possible. Lynn, the noblewoman of Sakai, ended up being a great unit. Her bow proficiency combined with her guy-like stats and abilities made her very valuable. This has to be the real MVP, though, right here. Hector. He is an absolute tank. He eventually gets fast enough to double attack, and with his strength, he just murders everything in his way. Absolutely fantastic. And Eliwood, against certain odds, I've had Eliwood's turn out so bad. But this one, the best one by far, more than usable and proved himself as being a worthy leader. He was absolutely fantastic. And of course, well, I mean, famed genius is nice. That's a good way of putting it, I guess. Not gonna argue with that. He vanished after the final battle. Burned Lycia and Etruria all sought those famed skills, but none ever found the tactician. It's because I'm here, with you. They'll never find me here in Castle Ostia. Let's see what's going on. Thanks for coming. Look at Hector! Wow, how long after is this? And Eliwood, all grown up now. Oh my gosh, like see your childhood stars and childhood heroes now growing up right in front of your eyes. 15 years now, and look at us. We've both grown older, haven't we? Well, I mean, look at them. Yes, clearly they've grown older. This is them. Time certainly does speed right by, says Eliwood. Aw, man, old friends reuniting after all of this. My father's disappearance, his death, the fight with Nergal. Oh, man, good times. Those fire dragons. Good times, good times. No, the memories are so vivid. It might have happened yesterday. Yes, I can still remember those images. Remember the fire dragon breathing flame tongue on all my units? 37 damage. What a blackheart he was. I've had enough of battles like that. Hector says, yeah, luckily nothing like that has come up just yet. Huh, is that your son over there? What? Eliwood has a son? Who could Eliwood's son possibly be? There's been no chance. What? It's Roy? Our boy is here in the flesh? That is him indeed. I always laugh when people say, are Marth and Roy in this game? It's like, well, actually, you're half right. Roy is right at the end, the star of Fire Emblem 6, which is a sequel to Fire Emblem 7 story-wise. And he is here in the flesh joining us today. Roy's our boy. Roy's our boy. Oh, it's so great. He does have his own adventure, of course, like I said, in Fire Emblem Sword of Seals, or the Binding Blade, or however you translate it. It's a great game. Highly recommend it. Go play it right now. Go play it. If for nothing else, it's worth it just to see Hector's epic beard. But hey, Hector has a daughter too! Another significant character in Fire Emblem 6. Are you being shy? You don't have to be nervous, he says. Ha! Do you think I was nervous when I rushed headlong into battle and felled 3 level 20 generals with my axe? And she's like, yeah, whatever. Hello, Lilina. This is Roy. He's the same age as you. Wow, would you look at that? 2 best friends, same age. They get along well. Wow, this sets up for some good things in the future, I think. Let's be friends. We can play over there. Little do they know what's in store for them. Roy and Lilina. Roy's our boy. I'm so excited to see him on screen. Yes, children. So innocent. So blissfully unaware of the trouble that is brewing. Good thing she took after her mother, Eliwood says. Ha ha. What? She said. She looks just like me, minus the beard. Doesn't she? Well, you're a sarcastic one. Marcus Ostia? That's right. Hector, believe it or not, now is taking a leadership role. Marcus of Ostia and Marcus of Ferre. We're amongst royalty. I guess we should be alright, Marcus Ferre. Ah, man. So great to have times of peace amongst these characters. The only thing older about you is your appearance. Yes, I suppose so. Don't tell me you still behave like that, even now that you're the Marcus. Yes, this is all automated. I'm always on top of my duties, says Hector as Marcus. I wouldn't dare let anything happen to Ostia, but when I'm around you, I want to relax. So please, knock it off a little bit if you could. Oh, man. So nice to be talking about things like not the Dread Isle and not Nergal and not terrible things. Oh, well, not terrible things. Didn't last for very long. The King of Burn died. It was fairly sudden, too. I can't be certain, but I don't like the sound of this music. According to one of our spies, he was killed in an assassination attempt on Prince Zephyr. Wait, didn't we already retread? Are we retreading old ground here? For an assassination attempt on Prince Zephyr? The prince, I trust he was unharmed. It's a strange tale. Poor Zephyr tried to assassinate twice. At first, I heard that the prince was killed. Then, new information came 3 days later saying that it was the king who had died. I mean, the king was corrupted anyway by Nergal and the Black Fang, but after all that was said and done, I thought things were going to return back to normal in Burn. Athos' prediction. Something happening in Burn. No, it can't be. We have times of peace, prosperity, right? Everything's defeated. Nergal is dead. The dragons are dead. What else do we have to worry about? Father, can I show Roy my pony? Oh, well, look at you. You have a pony. Isn't it great to be royalty? Yes, go ahead. Be careful, he says. You get the kids running off to start a new adventure of their own. Roy and Lilina. Nice. For the sake of our children's futures, I'll stop anything that may happen in Burn. Way to go, Hector. I'll sacrifice my life to make it so. Death flags! I don't really like the sound of that. Once again, Lycia brings hope. If that turns out to be wrong, then what? What then? No, it must happen. My son must succeed me. Roy must continue to be our boy. So what is going on in the Burn Keep? It's definitely dark. It's cloudy. And the lighting, I'm not sure I like the look of that. Who is this cloaked figure? Enigmatic man. For what reason have you awakened a demon dragon? What? A demon dragon? What? Why is this happening? Who are you? Says Zephiel, the very man that we've saved. Right. Well, looks like there is evil brewing for the next Fire Emblem, Fire Emblem 6, Sword of Seals, but that is it. That is Let's Play Fire Emblem. This is truly the end. Truth be told, there were some times after working on a chapter for hours on end or having a unit fall halfway through a battle that I never thought that I would see this ending screen, so it is a welcome sight and a big personal accomplishment for me. Remember that this was done entirely on a Game Boy Advance cartridge, no emulators, no save states, no restore points, so from the absolute bottom of my heart, I extend to you the most sincere and genuine thank you for watching Let's Play Fire Emblem. To commemorate our adventure, I created a retrospective recapping all of the highlights of our journey, and while you watch, I implore you to reflect upon the past 3 years. Think about the challenges you faced and how you've handled them. What have you gained? What have you lost? What have you learned? How have you grown and developed as a person? Use that knowledge to focus your goals and drive you forward to future success. This is Shadow Mario 41. Thank you for joining me on the epic journey that is Fire Emblem.